Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the day's golden hour approached, Hunter, with jittery fingers, anxiously tugged at his shirt's loose threads. His gaze kept drifting towards the clock. Its relentless ticking only amplified his anticipation. Lorelai was expected any moment for their evening rendezvous, causing Hunter's heart to flutter incessantly. The soft rapping on the door startled him into action. After a calming breath, Hunter straightened his attire and approached the entrance. With a swift motion, he opened the door, greeted by Lorelai's radiant smile, warm and inviting. My, Hunter, don't you look dashing? She teased, her playful eyes sparkling with anticipation. Are we ready to embark on tonight's escapade? A nervous chuckle escaped Hunter's lips, his attempts at composure apparent. As ready as I'll ever be, I suppose. Come on in. Lorelai stepped inside, her sundress swishing around her knees. She carried a large tote bag, which Hunter eyed curiously. So, he began, clearing his throat. About this role swap idea of yours. Lorelai set her bag down and turned to face him, her expression a mix of excitement and reassurance. I promise it'll be fun and enlightening. You trust me, right? Hunter nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. Of course I do. It's just... Well, I've never done anything like this before. That's the point, Lorelai said, reaching out to squeeze his hand. It's about stepping out of our comfort zones and gaining new perspectives. Plus, I think you'll look absolutely adorable. Hunter felt his cheeks flush at her words. All right. Where do we start? Lorelai's face lit up. She reached into her bag and pulled out a bundle of fabric. First things first, we need to get you dressed. I brought a few options, but I think this one will suit you perfectly. She unfolded a flowy mini skirt in a deep burgundy color. Hunter's eyes widened slightly, but he took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, let's do this. Should I just... He gestured vaguely towards his bedroom. Lorelai nodded. Go ahead and change in there. I'll wait here and help you with the finishing touches. Hunter took the skirt and retreated to his bedroom, closing the door behind him. He stared at the garment in his hands, a mix of anxiety and curiosity swirling in his chest. Slowly, he removed his jeans and slipped on the skirt, adjusting it around his waist. The fabric felt strange against his skin, light and breezy. He turned to look at himself in the mirror, surprised by how the skirt accentuated his legs. It was an entirely new sensation, one that made him feel oddly vulnerable yet intrigued. How's it going in there? Lorelai called from the living room. I think I've got it on, Hunter replied, his voice slightly shaky. Great! Come on out. Let's see how it looks. Taking another deep breath, Hunter opened the door and stepped out. He felt exposed, his legs bare, and the skirt swishing around his thighs. Lorelai's face broke into a wide grin as she saw him. Oh my gosh, Hunter! You look amazing! She clapped her hands together in delight. How does it feel? Hunter shifted his weight from one foot to the other, feeling the fabric move with him. It's different, but not in a bad way, I think. Just very new. Lorelai approached him, her eyes sparkling. You're rocking it truly. Now, let's complete the look, shall we? She reached into her bag again and pulled out a silky cream-colored blouse. This will go perfectly with the skirt. And don't worry, I brought some accessories too. As Hunter changed into the blouse, Lorelai helped him adjust the fit, showing him how to tuck it into the skirt just so. She then produced a delicate necklace and a pair of small hoop earrings. "I brought clip-ons," she explained, seeing Hunter's hesitation. "No need for piercings today." As she helped him put on the jewelry, Hunter caught a glimpse of himself in the hallway mirror. The person staring back at him was simultaneously familiar and foreign. The burgundy skirt flowed gracefully, contrasting beautifully with the cream blouse. The necklace drew attention to his collarbone, while the earrings framed his face in a way he'd never experienced before. "Wow," he breathed, unable to take his eyes off his reflection. Lorelai stood beside him, beaming with pride. "You look stunning, Hunter. Truly. How do you feel?" Hunter took a moment to consider the question. "I feel lighter, somehow, and a bit exposed, but also pretty? Is that weird to say?" Lorelai shook her head, her smile softening. "Not at all. That's exactly the point of this exercise, to experience things from a different perspective." She reached into her bag one last time and pulled out a pair of low-heeled sandals. "Last but not least, these should be your size." Hunter slipped them on, marveling at how they changed his posture and the way he carried himself. He took a few experimental steps, getting used to the slight elevation. "Now," Lorelai said, her tone becoming more serious, "let's talk about going out. Are you comfortable with that? We don't have to if you're not ready." Hunter paused, considering. Part of him wanted to stay in the safety of his apartment, but another part was curious about how it would feel to be out in the world like this. I think I want to try," he said slowly. "But maybe somewhere not too crowded?" Lorelai nodded, her expression understanding. "Of course. I know just the place. There's a lovely little park nearby with a beautiful garden. How does that sound?" Hunter smiled, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. "That sounds perfect." As they prepared to leave, Lorelai handed Hunter a small purse. "For your phone and wallet," she explained. "Welcome to the world of never having proper pockets." Hunter laughed, slinging the purse over his shoulder. "Is this why you always ask me to carry stuff for you?" "One of the many secrets of womanhood." Lorelai winked. "Ready to go?" Taking a deep breath, Hunter nodded. "Ready as I'll ever be." They stepped out of the apartment, the late afternoon sun warm on their skin. Hunter was acutely aware of the breeze against his bare legs, the swish of the skirt with each step. As they walked down the street, he found himself hyper-aware of his surroundings, wondering if people were looking at him, judging him. Lorelai seemed to sense his unease. She gently took his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You're doing great," she murmured. "Just remember, confidence is key. Act like you own it, and people will believe it." Hunter nodded, trying to stand a little straighter, to walk with more purpose. He focused on the feeling of Lorelai's hand in his, using it as an anchor. As they neared the park, Hunter began to relax a little. The streets were relatively quiet, and those few people they passed barely gave them a second glance. The park itself was a haven of greenery in the urban landscape, with winding paths and carefully tended flower beds. They found a secluded bench near a bed of vibrant tulips. As they sat down, Hunter was suddenly very aware of how to position himself in the skirt. "How do you sit in these things without, you know," he whispered to Lorelai, gesturing vaguely at his legs. Lorelai chuckled softly. "It takes practice. Try crossing your legs, or keeping your knees together. It becomes second nature after a while. Hunter attempted to cross his legs, feeling awkward but determined.
This is harder than it looks,
he admitted. Welcome to our world, Lorelai said with a wry smile. There's a lot of unspoken rules and expectations that come with presenting as feminine. It's not just about the clothes, it's about how you carry yourself, how you sit, how you move. Hunter nodded, taking in her words. I never realized, I knew there were differences, but experiencing it firsthand is something else entirely. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the play of light through the trees as the sun began to set. Hunter found himself becoming more comfortable in his new attire, the initial strangeness giving way to a sort of liberation.
You know,
he said after a while,
I think I understand now why some guys don't get why it takes so long for women to get ready. There's so much more to consider, so many little details.
Lorelai nodded, her expression thoughtful. It's not just about looking good for others, though that's part of it. It's also about feeling good about yourself, feeling confident in your own skin. Hunter considered this, looking down at his outfit.
I can see that.
At first I felt really exposed and vulnerable, but now there's something kind of empowering about it too, like I'm embracing a different side of myself. Lorelai's face lit up with a warm smile. That's exactly it, Hunter. It's about exploring different facets of who you are, challenging societal norms and expectations, and you're doing it beautifully. As the evening progressed, they decided to take a stroll through the park. Hunter was surprised to find that he was actually enjoying the feeling of the cool breeze on his legs, the way the skirt moved as he walked. He even caught himself doing a little twirl at one point, laughing at Lorelai's delighted expression. You're a natural, she said, her eyes twinkling. How about we grab some ice cream? There's a little stand just around the corner. Hunter hesitated for a moment, then nodded.
Sure, why not? In for a penny, in for a pound, right?
As they approached the ice cream stand, Hunter felt a flutter of nervousness in his stomach. This would be his first real interaction with a stranger in his new outfit. The vendor, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, smiled as they approached. Good evening, ladies, she said cheerfully.
What can I get for you?
Hunter felt a jolt of surprise at being addressed as a lady, but he found he didn't mind it as much as he might have expected. Lorelai squeezed his hand encouragingly. I'll have a scoop of strawberry, please, Lorelai said. She turned to Hunter. What about you, sweetie? Hunter cleared his throat, trying to keep his voice steady.
Chocolate, please. 1 scoop.
The vendor nodded, preparing their ice creams. As she handed them over, she smiled warmly at Hunter. That's a lovely skirt, dear. The color really suits you. Hunter felt his cheeks flush with pleasure.
Thank you,
he managed, a genuine smile spreading across his face. As they walked away, licking their ice creams, Hunter felt a surge of confidence.
That wasn't so bad,
he said to Lorelai. Actually, it felt kind of nice. Lorelai beamed at him. See? You're doing wonderfully. How about we find a nice spot to watch the sunset? They found a grassy hill with a perfect view of the western sky, which was already beginning to paint itself in hues of pink and gold. As they settled down, Hunter was once again reminded of the intricacies of sitting in a skirt.
You know,
he said, carefully arranging himself.
I've gained a whole new appreciation for the challenges women face every day. It's not just about the clothes or the way you look.
It's about navigating the world in a completely different way. Lorelai nodded, her expression thoughtful. That's very insightful, Hunter. It's about the constant awareness of your body, your surroundings, how others perceive you. It can be exhausting sometimes, but it can also be empowering when you embrace it. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the park, Hunter found himself reflecting on the experience. The initial discomfort and anxiety had given way to a strange sense of freedom and self-discovery. "Lorelai," he said softly, "thank you for this. I never would have had the courage to try something like this on my own, but I'm really glad I did." Lorelai reached over and squeezed his hand. "I'm so proud of you, Hunter. It takes a lot of bravery to step out of your comfort zone like this, and you've done it with such grace and openness." As the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, Hunter felt a profound sense of gratitude, not just for Lorelai and her understanding, but for the opportunity to see the world from a different perspective, if only for an evening. "So," Lorelai said as they stood up, brushing grass from their clothes, "what do you say we head back? Unless you're up for dinner out?" Hunter considered for a moment. Part of him was tempted to continue the adventure, to see how far he could push his newfound confidence. But another part of him felt he had experienced enough for one day. "I think I'd like to head back," he said. "But maybe we could order in. I'm not quite ready to change back yet." Lorelai's face lit up with a warm smile. "That sounds perfect. And maybe we can talk more about your experience." Hunter nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and contentment. As they walked back through the park, hand in hand, he found himself noticing things he'd never paid attention to before. The way other women walked, the variety of styles and outfits, the subtle interactions between people. Back at the apartment, they settled on the couch with takeout containers of Chinese food. Hunter was surprised to find how natural it felt to curl up in his skirt, the fabric pooling around his legs. "So," Lorelai said, picking up a piece of sweet and sour chicken with her chopsticks, "tell me more about how this experience has been for you." Hunter took a moment to gather his thoughts, twirling lo mein around his fork. "It's been eye-opening," he began. "I mean, I've always tried to be understanding and supportive of women's experiences, but actually living it, even for just a few hours, it's something else entirely." Lorelai nodded encouragingly, listening intently. "There's this constant awareness," Hunter continued, "of how you look, how you're perceived. I found myself worrying about things I've never even considered before. Is my skirt riding up? Am I sitting properly? Are people staring at me?" "That's a common experience," Lorelai said softly. "It's something many women deal with daily." Hunter nodded, his expression thoughtful. "And it's not just that. It's the little things, too. The way the fabric feels against your skin, the breeze on your legs. It's simultaneously freeing and vulnerable." He paused, taking a bite of his food. "But there's also something empowering about it. Like, once I got past the initial discomfort, I started to feel this sense of confidence, like I was embracing a different side of myself." Lorelai smiled warmly. "That's beautiful, Hunter, and it's a big part of why I suggested this experiment. It's not just about wearing different clothes, it's about experiencing a different way of being in the world." "Exactly," Hunter agreed, his eyes lighting up. "And you know what? I think I understand now why fashion and self-expression through clothing can be so important. It's not just about looking good for others, it's about how it makes you feel about yourself. Lorelai reached out and squeezed his hand. I'm so glad you've gained that insight. It's something that's often misunderstood or dismissed as vanity, but it can be a powerful form of self-expression and empowerment. They continued talking late into the night, discussing various aspects of the experience. Hunter found himself opening up about insecurities he'd never voiced before, and Lorelai shared her own experiences and challenges. As the night wore on, Hunter felt a profound sense of connection, not just with Lorelai, but with a part of himself he'd never fully explored before. The experience had pushed him out of his comfort zone, but in doing so, it had expanded his understanding of himself and others. When it finally came time for Lorelai to leave, Hunter walked her to the door, still wearing the skirt and blouse. Thank you again for this, he said softly, pulling her into a hug. It's been transformative. Lorelai hugged him back tightly. Thank you for being open to it. Your willingness to step outside your comfort zone, to try to understand a different perspective. It means more than you know. As they pulled apart, Lorelai gave him a mischievous smile. So, think you might want to do this again sometime? Hunter laughed, surprising himself with how comfortable he felt in that moment. You know what? I just might. Maybe next time we can go dancing. Lorelai's eyes lit up. Now that would be an adventure! But for now, get some rest. You've had quite the day. After Lorelai left, Hunter stood in front of the mirror, really taking in his reflection. The person looking back at him was still unmistakably him, but there was something different in his eyes. A new understanding, a broader perspective. As he carefully removed the outfit and accessories, placing them neatly on a chair, Hunter felt a mix of emotions. There was a tinge of sadness at letting go of this new experience, but also a sense of excitement for what the future might hold. He realized that this experiment had done more than just show him what it felt like to wear different clothes. It had opened his eyes to the complexities of gender expression, the power of stepping outside one's comfort zone, and the importance of empathy and understanding. As he crawled into bed that night, Hunter felt changed, not in a dramatic, life-altering way, but in small, significant shifts. He had a new appreciation for the experiences of others, a deeper understanding of his own identity, and a renewed commitment to challenging his own preconceptions. And as he drifted off to sleep, a small smile played on his lips. He couldn't wait to see what other adventures and discoveries lay ahead, both in his relationship with Lorelai and in his journey of self-discovery. The next morning, Hunter woke up feeling refreshed and somehow lighter. The events of the previous day played through his mind, each memory bringing a mix of emotions: nervousness, excitement, liberation, and a profound sense of growth. He got out of bed and padded to the living room, where the outfit from yesterday still lay neatly folded on the chair. Running his hand over the soft fabric of the skirt, he smiled to himself, marveling at how a simple piece of clothing could have such a profound impact. As he went about his morning routine, Hunter found himself paying more attention to the little things. The way his regular clothes felt against his skin, the freedom of movement his jeans allowed, the pockets. Oh, the pockets. He chuckled to himself, remembering Lorelai's comment about the lack of proper pockets in women's clothing. While making his coffee, his phone buzzed with a text from Lorelai. "Good morning, handsome. How are you feeling today? X." Hunter smiled, typing out his reply. "Morning, beautiful. Feeling good. Different, but good. Thank you again for yesterday. It was eye-opening." Lorelai's response came quickly. I'm so glad. Want to meet for lunch? We can talk more if you'd like. Hunter agreed, and they set a time and place. As he got ready to head out, he found himself paying more attention to his outfit choice than usual. He selected a soft blue button-down shirt that brought out his eyes, pairing it with well-fitted jeans. As he looked in the mirror, he realized he was applying some of the lessons from yesterday, considering how the colors complemented his skin tone, how the fit accentuated his body. He arrived at the cafe a few minutes early, securing a cozy table in the corner. When Lorelai walked in, her face lit up as she saw him. She was wearing a flowing maxi dress in a vibrant floral print, and Hunter found himself appreciating the way it moved as she walked, the thought she'd put into her accessories. "Hey, you," Lorelai said warmly, leaning in to kiss his cheek before sitting down. "You look great. I love that shirt on you." Hunter felt a flush of pleasure at the compliment. "Thanks. I actually put a bit more thought into it today." Lorelai's eyes twinkled with understanding. "Applying some of yesterday's lessons, are we?" They ordered their food, and as they waited, fell into easy conversation about the previous day's experience. "You know," Hunter said, leaning forward slightly, "I keep thinking about how it felt to be perceived differently. When that ice cream vendor called us ladies, it was such a strange moment. Not uncomfortable, exactly, but eye-opening." Lorelai nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's interesting, isn't it? How much of our identity is tied up in how others perceive us, and how much is our own internal sense of self." "Exactly," Hunter agreed. "It made me think a lot about the assumptions we make about people based on appearance, and how limiting those can be." Their food arrived, and as they ate, the conversation continued to flow. Hunter found himself opening up about aspects of the experience he hadn't fully processed the night before. "I think one of the most surprising things," he said between bites of his sandwich, "was how much more aware I became of my body. Not just in terms of how I looked, but how I moved, how I took up space." Lorelai nodded encouragingly. That's a big part of the feminine experience that often goes unnoticed. There's this constant awareness, this careful navigation of the world. Hunter considered this. "It's exhausting, isn't it? Always being so aware, so careful." "It can be," Lorelai agreed. "But it can also be empowering when you embrace it, when you make it your own." As they finished their meal, Hunter felt a surge of affection for Lorelai. Her willingness to share this experience with him, to guide him through it with such patience and understanding, had deepened his feelings for her in ways he hadn't expected. "Lorelai," he said, reaching across the table to take her hand, "I just want you to know how much yesterday meant to me. Not just the experience itself, but the trust you placed in me, the way you guided me through it. It's made me see you, and us, in a whole new light." Lorelai's eyes softened, her thumb gently stroking the back of his hand. "Oh, Hunter, it meant a lot to me too. Your openness, your willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It's one of the things I love most about you." The word love hung in the air between them, new and exhilarating. They hadn't said it to each other before, but in that moment, it felt right. "I love you too," Hunter said softly, the words coming easily, naturally. Lorelai's face broke into a radiant smile. "Yeah?" "Yeah," Hunter confirmed, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. "Yesterday helped me see so many things more clearly, including how I feel about you." They left the cafe hand in hand, both feeling as though something fundamental had shifted in their relationship. As they walked through the bustling streets, Hunter found himself noticing things he might have overlooked before. The diverse ways people expressed themselves through their clothing, the subtle interactions between individuals, the unspoken dance of social norms and expectations. "So," Lorelai said as they strolled, a hint of mischief in her voice. "About that idea of going dancing." Hunter laughed, squeezing her hand. "You know what? I think I'm up for it. Maybe not tonight, but soon. Very soon." As they continued their walk, Hunter felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. Gratitude for Lorelai, for her understanding and guidance. Gratitude for the experience that had opened his eyes to new perspectives. And gratitude for the journey of self-discovery he found himself on, with all its challenges and rewards. He knew that this was just the beginning. There would be more to learn, more to understand, more ways to grow. But with Lorelai by his side, and with his newfound openness to stepping outside his comfort zone, he felt ready for whatever adventures lay ahead. As the afternoon sun warmed their faces, Hunter and Lorelai walked on, hand in hand, towards a future bright with possibility and understanding. The world around them seemed somehow richer, more vibrant, filled with nuances and perspectives Hunter was only just beginning to appreciate. And in that moment, surrounded by the bustle of the city, yet cocooned in their shared experience, Hunter knew that he had not just tried on a new outfit the day before. He had tried on a new way of seeing the world, and in doing so, had discovered new depths to himself and his relationship. The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. It would be one of continued growth, understanding, and love. And Hunter couldn't wait to see where it would lead.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!